just came back from St. Lucia, where we stayed at the St. James Club on Morgan's Bay. The St. James Club on Morgan's Bay is in the northwest quadrant of the island, nestled in amongst a whole bunch of other all-exclusive resorts. There's a small beach in front of the club that you can fish. There's also a beach to the north and a beach to the south. The beach to the south is the largest public beach that runs probably about 3 miles to the north, and the one to the south is about 300 yards. Both beaches are accessible from the club. It's not easy getting to the one going south, but it's definitely doable. I walked over there one day. The one nice thing about St. Lucia is all the beaches are public, including the ones at the resort, which means you can use your fly rod even in the swimming. It's a public beach. Anybody can be there, not just the guests at the resort. Also, in my experience, it's very safe in St. Lucia. You don't have to worry about leaving the resort and fishing. So don't overpack for this trip. A small 8-weight with a nice saltwater reel and a few flies, just clousers, a couple of shrimp patterns, maybe an EP minnow will do you just fine. So let's do just a quick virtual tour of the resort. All of the housing, the rooms are up above the resort, and you'll be probably looking down on the resort, looking down on the beach. And there's going to be a walkway that'll walk you right down to the beach on either side. Ours was on the north side of the beach. It's a pretty steep walkway. You walk right down. The beach itself at the resort is probably 200 yards, maybe 300 yards long. You could fish there for your entire stay. We caught a lot of fish off the beach, not large, but there was plenty of good fishing to be had. The key here is that 6 o'clock in the morning, there is nobody on that beach. Nobody. Or at least it wasn't while we were there. And you could go out and fish to your heart's content till around 8 o'clock. 7 o'clock is breakfast for the resort, so nobody even starts getting up till 7 or so and coming down to the beach. The other part was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the beach completely cleared off too. So that's also a great time to fish. So we did most of our fishing in the morning and at night, in the waning and the beginning hours of light, which seemed to work really well because that's when we caught most of our fish. We caught all of our fish other than the ones we took on Kayak. So here's one of the little paths that comes up and cuts you over to the beach that's to the north. We nicknamed this beach Rasta Beach. If you end up going over there, you'll understand why. All of these beaches have pretty much the same makeup. You can walk out maybe 20 to 30 feet and then it drops off pretty quickly. The surrounding water to about a mile offshore only gets to be about 10 feet deep, but there aren't any real flats that you can wade in and do sight fishing. This is all beach fishing from within about 30 to 40 feet from shore. The fishing itself is actually pretty good. I think we caught fish just about every time we went out. A buddy of mine, Skip, and I, we went down and fished the beaches every morning and every afternoon and went out in the kayaks probably 3 or 4 days. But every day we caught a little something. Nothing big. Don't bring your expectations down a little bit. You're not going to catch any giant tarpon or jack crevalle unless they happen to be around. There are some big tarpon, there are some big jack crevalle. I did not see any. Good luck with that, though. We did catch quite a few mangrove snapper. Those were the biggest things we caught up in about the 2-pound range. We also caught pompano, barracuda, and a couple of yellowtails and other jacks off the shore. So the resort had quite a few watercrafts, paddleboards, kayaks, Hobies. You could get out offshore pretty quickly. Not too far. You could go a couple of miles all the way down to the point where there's Sandals. It was great to get out in the kayak and just throw your fly rod in there and paddle down and paddle along the shoreline. Like I said earlier, you could pretty much see bottom the whole time. There were a couple of places that had some pretty decent currents, so you have to be careful. But you could spend a majority of the day out there in a kayak, and they didn't seem to mind you taking the kayaks out and fishing from them them being out there for quite a while. Also, getting out in the kayaks, you could go over and try to locate a couple of the small reefs. A couple of things to remember when you go is that you can fish in St. Lucia all you would like to from shore and in the kayaks. You don't need a license. You cannot keep anything though. It's all catch and release. However, if you run into some of the locals and they see you catching a fish, I guarantee you they're going to want it, and there's nothing wrong with giving it to them, especially if you're picking up a bunch of mangrove snappers or yellowtails. Those are good eating fish, and there's plenty of them, so there's no harm done there. Anyway, hope you enjoy your trip, and I hope this was helpful.